Hello. Skimlecast Season 2, Episode 3. I'm Olli Salo. With me in the studio, Henry Schilt. Exciting episode where we're going to talk about workflows and tooling. And
Sounds mystical.
yeah, we should have like processes, and it sounds very boring. But actually, this whole thing around what is knowledge work these days? Like, what is the what are people doing all day when they sit at their desk and do knowledge work and
emails?
yeah, exactly. And what's the role of AI there? And we're going to try to get into that that discussion.
Yeah, I think there are like competing views of like what's the role of software in knowledge work, and I think for me now the leading group of people in AI world are the programmers, right? And you look and I think the tooling term is very appropriate. That like you had for a long time, you had a set of tools you used, and now with AI you have a bunch of new tools, and those tools are changing quite rapidly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reason why software engineering was a big adopter of AI was that kind of they already had their system of record in a way, or they had their their code bases basically. So there was an artifact, and kind of processes of kind of the software development lifecycle in a way that everyone knew that you would come up with ideas, you would kind of code them, you would test them, you would deploy them, and so kind of a bit of like a standardized process. And now for some steps of that process, you can then do it with AI, because the AI can use the same system of record or the code base, and you can then check it with the same tests and all of that. So it's kind of it went very well into that part of knowledge work. Then in other fields, if you now read any statistics of like how many % of companies are like AI enabled, and if you double click on those statistics, I think you always discover that it basically means that people are doing meeting notes and emails with ChatGPT. Or if they're very advanced, they have Claude and they're doing email summaries with Claude or Gemini or whatever is their package. And that basically is AI for a lot of companies, which of course we know isn't really adding any productivity at all. Yeah.
On the other hand, 2 weeks ago, Financial Times had this analysis that the higher your income, the more you use AI, and that's kind of what they are calling like the new digital divide. That you are right, on organizational level, it's not having an impact, but on professional level, high income people use more tools, they use them more often, and so forth. Yeah,
which then might go into and I would always, like, I think in those surveys always want to understand when you ask someone to use AI and they say yes, ask a follow-up question: what is AI? or kind of what are you using for? Because I think also in that high income thing, it might be that the kind of the lower income people are involved in actual kind of value creation processes and standard things and so on, versus the higher income would be in kind of meetings and email land basically, and then they say, I'm using now I can be in 2 meetings at the same time and I get the meeting notes with AI and then like, so they're using AI, but it's very different than if it would be using the actual production process.
And it's, let's say it's not the same as in software engineering, where you're actually getting a lot of the work done with AI in that sense.
And this goes then into like, I think, what are ideal AI tools for knowledge work? Like where will be the big ones? And I think it goes also back to kind of the Skimle discussion that should Skimle be a vertical tool? You know, like the advice we get from some, pick a few workflows, like specific, I don't know, academic stacks and tools and workflows, and integrate there, or market research or consulting and do the integrations and then you're good. Like, and I think the realization we had when we talk with our customers is that there are some areas where there is a workflow, but a lot of knowledge workers actually, and it's not just it's not the leaders, but like in a lot of areas where knowledge work is still done. There isn't a kind of standardized process or tooling. Like if there would be, it would be digitalized already. A lot of that was kind of digital already. Did it went to like really standard workflow. And then if it's like a bit more complex and so on, of course you can deploy AI there. But a lot of our users actually, it's not like there is a kind of already existing SaaS tools or processing. So like they do interviews. Of course you can use some software there, but then you can store it somewhere. But there's no real kind of tools or complex value-adding stacks in that area. And same with the outcomes. Like they are sharing information. They are convincing people to do differently. You know, presenting and so on. Yeah, you have PowerPoint, but it's not. It's not like a in a way complex ecosystem that you are integrating to.
Yeah. Some people have moved from PowerPoint to Google Slides because you can search all the slides from all your presentations. But
kind of very very simple tools in a way because and I think this goes to like degrees of freedom in that work. So if it's and cybernetics and all of my favorite subjects, but like if like when you go into more complex knowledge work, the degrees of freedom you need to have available, like both in like what is the information coming in, what is the things you do, and what is the outcomes. Like they are so large that you wouldn't really build the minute you do a tool, you are constraining that to like, you know, there's one pipe in, there's one pipe out, there's one processing in that, and it doesn't fit a lot of the really high value added knowledge work of academia, for example, or consulting or market research.
And of course, there's kind of like, I think there's commodification of all knowledge work. This is comes from research on professions, and this reminds me of one of my friends had a digital marketing agency back in the day, and I remember he was talking that there are so many new tools all the time that all the digital marketing experts, they use like a bunch of tools and they pick up a new tool and throw an old one out every 6 months. And of course, nowadays, the whole digital marketing process is end-to-end automated. There's very few people who do work there. They use fewer tools because it's mature, right? It's a commodified area. But I think there will be so much knowledge work still that will not be commodified in this way, and where the tools will actually, to be honest, be evolving, and people will use multiple tools.
Yeah, it's a bit like, I think it's again the Excel story that like for numbers, like yes, of course you can have dashboards and kind of systems of record and all of tableurs and Power BIs and so on, and those will exist and do exist, and they're a big thing. Now, in addition, you then have the Excel when you have like genuinely you're doing I don't know, business plan, or you are doing scenario modeling and you know, or like something bespoke, and or you need to do something as a consultant and share it with the client, you know, across different stacks. So you, like there will be a need for this like versatile tool that takes whatever information. And I think then the benefit of the versatile tool is, if you look at Excel, like there's all possible visualizations of data, like bar charts, line charts, whatever. There's pivot tables. There's so many different things you can do with it.
Yeah, all of them ugly.
Some of them are ugly. They're as someone who has been in consulting for 18 years, they are familiar.
Okay, yeah.
But still, this point that they are kind of like, it's a multi-use tool, and it evolves, and all of those, maybe they're ugly, but they're quite robust. Versus then if you pick like a vertical tool, you will have some charts. Hope you love them, hope you don't. You know, now with the modern tools, they often look very pretty and nice, but if you want to do graph number 3, you're out of luck. You can do graph 1 and 2, but there's no graph number 3. So there's like this whole versatility in the more you go into complex knowledge work, you need to have the degrees of freedom in your tool.
Yeah, actually, that gets to one of my pet peeves selling AI to people. That, like, for example, if you do your employee questionnaires and you get feedback from employees, so these big tools like Workday, because they want to have all the features so that you know they are easy to buy. They have this kind of AI analysis of the responses, which is like really, really bad. It's like you throw all the responses to AI and say, summarize this, and you don't get anything valuable out. And I think that's kind of really the question with different knowledge work, is that like, how much do you really care about the quality.
Yeah.
And I think there will be these that, if the point is that it's like ticking the box that we asked the employees and we wrote the summary, then it doesn't matter. You don't need Skimle, right? If you are doing that kind of knowledge work where you really care about the outcome, you want the best tooling. You want to have your own set of tools that are like state of the art.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope the world would go into a kind of a quality direction now that, like, if we have now super duper powerful AI models, burning all those tokens, like, I hope we would make better stuff with them and faster and better, not just like, faster slop and say that, hey, now we can analyze the complex interviews of 1,000 employees in 1 millisecond. and the response is always that kind of okay-ish. People say okay-ish or
Yes.
this is what they could have said, if we hallucinate a few quotes. If it would be a mid-sized American company, this is what they would have said.
The AI will say that there were competing perspectives. So there were like diverse perspectives on this question. And,
and it was about the managers and the pay and
some employees surfaced negative experiences.
Yeah. And then see you next year. But I hope there would be like really using that hey, if now it's cheaper and easier to collect qualitative data, let's not have an annual survey. Let's have a way for people to like share what they think in a more like real-time way and not have, if we want to get broad perspectives from a large set of areas, let's not ask then 100 open like or multiple choice questions like, do you like the canteen and all of that. Let's ask them like you would ask a human, like, hey, what's good, what's bad, or what's up, basically, and then use power of AI to come with the themes and the sub themes and detailed follow-up questions, all of that's like smarter and more. Not just kind of like now we are so sloppy and fast. Same with art and same with like everything.
I exactly, I think so. Like it's the same with music, that you can now generate AI music like for anything. You just write what you want and then you get slop and I hope that's not the future. Of course, many companies will find that there are some things that they just need to tick the box and then they will just slop that with AI and that's the decision. But I think for any core activity, right? If you
and maybe it's the same. I don't know. I'm not a history expert, but like with manufacturing of like furniture, I think there was the era of the artisan, and then there was the early era of like mass produced goods and factories and so on. And I think there, at least I have a sense that there was an era of like low quality thing. Like that was why IKEA, for example, was born, that they wanted to do high quality furniture, and that's why they wanted to invite people to see their showroom, because everyone else sold with like a mail order catalog. They made a showroom so people can come and shake the tables and see that they're actually high quality stuff. And so there was a kind of pushback of like, let's make high quality furniture, even if it's mass produced in a way, like to make it high quality affordable to the masses, which is a bit the kind of the IKEA type of game. And I think this, I'm hoping that the quality bar of people stays high and they keep demanding that when we need good stuff, let's do good stuff, not just do kind of the.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen, for example, to YouTube, because there was a lot of like really not very high quality human made stuff, and now it's competing with not very good AI made stuff. So hopefully we'll see like people producing less stuff but higher quality. We'll see.
But I hope there will be like a pushback of quality in a way, like and maybe some kind of metric of humanity would be like, what's the share of watching minutes of like, let's say, like thoughtfully produced TV series and movies versus what my kids call, like, I don't know, Italian brain rot or whatever is that. Like, it's kind of like 1 minute things where you have a person yelling, and I somehow like that for me is like a humanity metric, that which one is winning? Is it the dopamine, offloading your thinking and just like staring at the blank screen, or is it like engaging in the using your higher brain? Yeah.
So obviously our customer target segment is not Italian brain rot,
No,
but
exactly.
if we get back to tooling, what do you think? What will the AI tool ecosystem look like?
So I think it goes to this decrease of freedom that you want tools that are kind of complex and high quality, and then you want to interact with them in different ways. I think there will be a group of people who want to build their own workflows, are technically savvy. In the software engineering side, they would be using cloud code. I think there's a similar group of people who are not doing code but are equally sophisticated, and they will set up their own agentic workflows. They will use MCP, MCP connections, their own reporting flows, connectors, all of that. And we have a lot of our customers. Like whenever we show this, I think there is, in a room of 10 people, there's always 1 or 2 people who are asking that can Skimle support MCP.
And it can.
And it can, yes.
We added it just a while ago, and it works great.
It works great, and I think, I use it sometimes. Like when we now had it available internally for quite many weeks, I use it sometimes.
Yeah.
Then there is an other segment of people who like, or that kind of that MCP user group would have been power users of Excel macros and pivot tables and all of that in the quantitative side in the past. They would have done kind of their own creative stuff with the previous generation tools. Now they're kind of, it's like a nirvana for them. They get the MCP and they can work with that. And so then there will be another segment who wants to use a standardized tool to really then bring their thinking and expertise to. So they don't want to look under the hood of Excel. They want to look at the numbers and what they're telling them. They're doing qualitative analysis. They don't want to play with the internals. They just want to look at the text and the thoughts and kind of retrieve that. And that's a big segment. I would say 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
2 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And I think this 8 out of 10 of really high quality subject matter experts, researchers, all of that. That's a big segment you have to cater to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So can you open up a bit MCP? It's model context protocol, but what does it mean? What was it like for people who don't?
Yes. So I would say that if you have a motor saw, why is it always a motor saw?
It's always an analogy with some like last century technology. Yeah, but go on.
Okay, you have a laser beam. And you have Skimle, and you cut Skimle into half with that laser beam.
Okay.
Bear with me. And so Skimle is really then 2 parts. Skimle is a kind of on the bottom part, you have a analytical engine that is able to reliably take a bunch of documents, identify the themes and sub-themes, keep the transparency, ensure the quotes are verbatim, do all of that. And manipulate that table. And then on the top part, you have the user interface, so that you have all the web screens and the ability to view data and heat maps and all of that, export PowerPoint and Word and all of that. Now, when you put them together, that's Skimle. If you're a human user, you want the top part as well, because you don't want to go to the database directly and so on. If you are an AI tool, you don't care anything about the top part. You only want to access that refined, high-quality data. And MCP is kind of a door to that lower part directly. So with Claude Code or Cowork or Windsurf or I don't know, what are the popular, OpenClaw.
Yeah.
So any AI tool, you can then talk directly to that lower half of Skimle. The benefit of having Skimle in the equation is that you have the system of record for that refined data. So it's not on your computer, it's on the shared computer. So any other human or agent would access the same data. You have the benefit of the Skimle kind of enforcing that consistency and all of that. So it's like you have the lower part, which is steady, and then you can go to that with your own thing. And MCP is just a protocol for talking between that interface. It could be an API as well. MCP tries to be a bit more general, kind of more narrative-like. It AI tools like it more because it explains what the API does in more verbose ways.
Yeah, and it's it's easier to update for us to improve it all the time and see how it's working and so forth. But yeah, it's kind of like back in the days. I think it was Windows 95, maybe, when you could copy paste from all apps to all. Well, not all, but from many apps to many other apps, right?
Those were the days. That was a mysterious
that
feature.
that was like, because
And you could have multiple windows. Oh, that was earlier. Windows 3.1 was my
yeah,
first
I think
window
yeah,
thing
yeah.
where the DOS was
Yeah.
replaced with like having two applications open at the same time.
But you couldn't have a DOS window yet back in the days. Yeah.
That would explode.
Yeah. But anyhow, like this is massive like change that you can copy paste stuff between your own apps and of course we always had these APIs that you can like connect software, but it required this custom, basically a programmer who would like create this integration that you get data from your Outlook automatically flowing to, I don't know, Salesforce or something like that.
I don't think that exists even today.
Yeah, well.
or you remember the space news when the guys on the spaceship were
Oh
like,
yeah,
their
well,
Outlook crashed.
I have two Outlooks open and then neither of them works.
So maybe even moving data between these two Outlooks, that's still the science fiction.
Yeah, but what MCP does is it creates this like on the internet scale between information systems with the AI agent in between, basically, that you can. In Skimle, you can read and write data. So I was trying this. We have a nice chat in Skimle, but it's not quite the same as Claude Cowork.
Yeah, and in Cloud Cowork, you have your own other tools as well. You
Yeah,
have
that's
your
true.
own file system.
Yeah.
You have your...
Yeah. So like I asked, like look at this project here, check all the insights that like express surprise and tag them with the surprise tag. And then it went to work and it said, okay, I have 3 levels of surprise, like genuinely surprised and then like mildly surprised and then inferred surprise. And do you want me to tag just the first group or the first 2 or all of the groups? And then the good thing is that you see these in the Skimle interface, right? And you can operate that in the future. Now they are not yet in the exports, but you can like in the future, very soon future when the usability month is over and we get to the feature month.
Yeah. That was Henry very carefully saying that because I have this at the office. I have this stick, and whenever people suggest features during usability month, I hit them with this big stick.
Yeah, this is like modern management practice. We have co-found a company with the next management consultant, and all they have is a stick and a carrot.
And there is no carrot.
One day, but anyhow,
the
yeah,
carrot
yeah.
is a stick as well.
So yeah, and as Olli said, you have all the other tools, like you have the web search, so you can say that, okay, use the web search and use Skimle, take data from Skimle search, and then enrich the data by writing notes based on the like look at all the people mentioned in the interview, and then add notes that say where they work or something like that.
Yeah. And I think this goes all the way back to the beginning that if kind of software engineering was revolutionized by AI because they had this system of record, they had the code base, and then they brought AI tools so humans and agents could collaborate on that same stable knowledge base and so on. This is basically what Skimle is now doing, that you can have this, you don't have to go to the individual documents anymore to work. You have this refined layer of processed knowledge where humans and agents can happily work together, improve it, and then take different exports and so on. So I think it hopefully means that AI doesn't just become this better emails, better meeting notes, and so on, but actually helps to do the actual knowledge work of converting multiple scattered bits and pieces of information, kind of processing and finding the themes, and then reacting to those emerging messages. So basically, it's a harness for qualitative text, not code.
So moving from like data repository, which is like files, to meaning repository, which is like insights, tags, categories.
A system of meaning. So if you have a system of record, now you have a system of meaning. Or we've actually interviewed in the CIO magazine, and we talked about this value creation layer. And I think whatever is the name for this, but it's really sitting above the individual documents, is something beyond that, which is the meanings and the insights and so on. And I hope that, like, if you go back before the age of AI, that was the pinnacle of knowledge work, was creating and reaching that level of meaning. I mean, that was the article, and that was the consulting report, that was the marketing study, and so on. And it took a long time to get into that, and it was kind of complex work, and taking ages. Now we hope that it's now easier to get to that level of meaning. What's next? What's the meta level? Like, now that is possible, what's the new world that is possible? How can we go deeper, dig deeper to those insights, and be faster, and all of that?
Or manage larger bodies of knowledge, greater, like bigger systems.
Exactly.
Thinking,
and then, and that's keeping us awake. The other thing, which we will do after Usability Month, is then the whole, like, further visualizing and kind of understanding that layer of meaning. Basically, like, if you're now able to create that, could you look at we already have our metadata analysis, but could you really go deeper into, like, what's emerging here? What are the
what are the processes that people are talking about? Like,
yes, and what are different people? Like, what are the dimensions, like, explaining differences in people? Like, the political compass or whatever, left, right. Other dimensions. If you have 10,000 calls, is there something deeper explaining what is going on than just the kind of superficial reasons of why they called? Like, is there something around that you wouldn't spot in that document view? You have to look at the big picture, and kind of, it's like, how do you look at the big picture? Because now that's the future of the work. I think it's like higher and higher abstraction, bigger thinking, and so on. We hope. Maybe we're wrong. It just becomes the sloppy, brain rot thing, and everyone just kind of prints that summary and goes, back to watching YouTube or whatever. Hopefully not, but maybe.
I mean, previously politics was about understanding complex social dynamics, societal, and now it's like tweeting like a snarky response before other politicians.
Yes, and that's, I think, the whole force everywhere is the do you use technology for good or bad? Do you become more shallow or more deep? And we're on the deep side.
Yeah. Hope to meet you in the deep end of the pool. On that note, I think we can wrap this up. But,
Great. Thank you for all. And if you have any comments, thoughts, want to be sitting here as a guest, or know who should be here as a guest, or anything, just let us know. Hit like, subscribe.
And if you like Italian brain rot, we are not judging you.
Exactly.
A bit.
We are judging you.
Okay.
All right.